Well, first, let me thank the Coalition for Educational Justice, the New York City Communities for Change, and everyone for coming out here today. Because clearly, I say to you, I stand with you in calling for a moratorium on all closure. And in fact, closure means to me that you can't find a way to fix it.
That's right.
I'll give you an example. I had a car, and I had 338,000 miles on the car, and it's true, 14 years, and I blew one of my pistons in my engine. I got it back to New York. I took it to one repair place, and he said, no good, get rid of it. Did I believe him? Of course not. I took it to another place, and the other place said, no good, get rid of it. So what did I do? I gave it to charity. But we can't do that with our children. We cannot throw them away.
That's right.
We depend on the educated, the PhD, the masters in education, to find a way to get it done. That's what we depend on. These stats here, you saw it. Look at those stats. These stats are not from you.
No.
They're not from CEJ.
No.
It says the New York City Department of Education, New York City results of the New York State English Language Arts exam. These are real facts. And at the bottom, by graduation, one student is college ready. 13 what? Not acceptable.
Not acceptable at all.
In anyone's standards.
In no one's standards.
And you know, I know that it's a holistic approach to education. I know that. I know that the state is, cutting back on money. I know that the parents, hundreds of them were at Wadley with me last night, talking about don't close Wadley Intermediate School. 10 years is a long time. Too long for our children to wait.
That's right.
And I ask all of us, stand united in making sure that our goal, that our children get a good quality education. We stand united. Thank you.
Now we have the chair of the Higher Education Committee, Councilman Rodriguez.
Well, first of all, I thank everyone. It is amazing to see this number of us here. And we are here despite of the weather just because we care for the present and the future of our society. That is composed by our children. The only reason why I'm here today, and many of us are here today as elected officials, is because we had the opportunity to go to school and be educated. The only reason why my father only ended 2nd and 3rd grade back in the Dominican Republic, and he was not an engineer and a doctor or architect, was because society denied education. And we can understand that our grandparents didn't have that opportunity. We can understand that still son of an adult and our family member did not have the opportunity. But how dare we live in a city where we are placing our children to fail? We are not investing in the early child education. And therefore, as a result, we only have 15% of New Yorkers graduating from New York City Public School college ready. And the number is worse, as you have seen, on the Black and Latino in New York City. So when we make 60% of the New York City Public School the Black and Latino community, so we are the majority. We are 60%. And from that number, only 13% has the opportunity to say, I receive a quality education. But you know what? This is the new civil rights movement. Because this is something related to social class. This will not affect the upper class of this city, neither the upper middle class. This number only affects people of color. However, everyone has to be on board. When we end the segregation, and I was not here, I was running back in the Dominican Republic because I was born and raised in the Dominican Republic, and as an immigrant, I came here when I was 18. But I lived that experience of also living in a society where education was only provided to the elite. The same thing that happening here in the system and that has been happening right now. Quality education is not happening in New York City for the working class, especially for the Black and Latino community. And as we build a big group that embraced the cause against segregation, that brought the Black Latino with the leadership of the Black, but also we have Latino, we have Jewish, we have Anglo, we have Asian to say we need to end segregation. Right. Now we have to say we need to end segregation in our school. Our children deserve quality education. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me first commend and thank New York Community for Change. And I want to thank and commend also all my colleagues, all the parents and all the leaders and all of you here today. I want to say that education is not a privilege.
Right.
Education is a right.
Right.
And it is the responsibility of the government to provide the best education possible to our children.
Right.
When a school is failing, we have to identify exactly what is the reason. Right. And we have to bring the right resources for the school to succeed. Closing school doesn't resolve the situation. And we have to invest in our school. We should have the best school in the United States of America. And the best investment that we can do as a society, as a country, is the investment in the education of our children. Because we say every time that the youth, the children, they are the future. But we have to prove that. We have to provide them with the best education possible. And when I say that we have to provide the best education possible to our children, this should be done regardless of the color of the children, regardless of the family history, regardless of the ethnic background. All the students, they all have the same right to education. And let me say that our responsibility is to educate our children. And today, we parents, elected officials, we are doing the right thing.
Right.
Protecting the best we can give to our children, which is education. We are going to stay fighting together, standing together to protect our school and to ensure that the Board of Education do the right thing for our children, do the right thing for New York, and do the right thing for this country. Thank you very much.
Fight, education is a right.
Fight,
Education is a right. Fight, education is a right. Fight, education is a right. Fight, education is a right.
How appropriate, because we have a true fighter out next, Councilman Williams.
Go get a big Will.
Thank you for everybody that's here and my colleagues. I've learned that the mayor, when it comes to anything in the city, doesn't let a small thing like facts get in his way when he wants to do something, whether or not it's successful or not. It's very unfortunate because 25% only of our students are college and career ready. Only 50% of our white students are college and career ready. So if only 50% of our white students are college and career ready, you already knew what was going to happen with the Black and Latino students. So I asked the school officials, the DOE officials at the hearing, whether or not mayoral control was successful. And he said yes. This is not success. This is not successful. By no measure, by anyone's barometer, can you say this is successful. So I have a question for the mayor and for the DOE. Do you believe that 87% of the black and Latino students in this city are too dumb to be educated. If you do not, that means you have failed. That's the only two options we have. Either they are too dumb to succeed, or mayoral control has failed. And we know the answer to that. Everyone knows the answer to that except for you. What we need is municipal control so that more people can be involved in this conversation. It's been over a decade. You have experimented beyond experimentation, and these are the results that have come out of those experiments. Please, Mr. Mayor and your administration, stop being so arrogant. Stop being so obstinate. There are people who want to have discussions on a slew of issues because you have not been the education mayor. You have not been creative when it comes to dealing with finances. I'm not sure why this city deserved the third term of Bloomberg. Thank you.
Mayor, 13% must repent. Mayor, 13% must repent. Mayor, 13% must repent. Mayor, 13% must repent. Mayor, 13% must repent.
Not only do we have advocates on the city level, we also have on the state level. I want to introduce Assemblyman Jeffrey.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor and a privilege to stand here with New York Communities for Change, as well as my distinguished colleagues in government, on an issue that can be no more significant to anyone than the education of our children. The mayor has had control over the public school system now, complete control, for more than 10 years. And so if the school system is failing, it's failing on his watch. And by any account, the system is not serving our children in the manner in which they deserve. Each and every year, hundreds of thousands of young people failing to perform at grade level in reading or in math. The high school graduation rate in many instances, less than 50%. And the achievement gap between white students and students of color remains wider in the Grand Canyon. And it can't be the case that the effort of first resort is to close every school. That shouldn't be the effort of first resort. It should be the effort of last resort after everything else has been tried to improve the quality of the education of our children. In our view, this debate has become unnecessarily divisive. Parents against parents, community against community, school against school. All we want is good schools. All we want is to make sure that every single child can get the best possible education to adequately prepare them for the challenges of the 21st century, because if not, we're at risk of dooming millions of children to life sentences of disadvantage and despair. And how can we allow that to happen in the greatest city in the world? And so from a state perspective, we're asking the State Education Department, as well as the Commissioner, to take a hard, impassioned, fair look at the strategies that have been put in place and suggest how things can be done better to give our children the quality education that they deserve.
And last but not most certainly least, I want to introduce Councilwoman James.
Phasing out a policy, phasing out schools represents failure. It's as simple as that. And phasing out schools should be the last resort. What we should do and look at is transforming schools as an option. And that has not been put forth as an option. We treat all schools the same, when in fact there are schools should be treated separately. And principals and teachers and most of all, parents should be involved.
That's right.
But that has not been the situation in the city of New York. A business model should not apply to education.
Right.
A business model should not apply to education. You just can't look at metrics alone and data alone. You've got to look at other factors.
Right.
In schools in central Brooklyn, children who are homeless are concentrated in a lot of schools. And you can't teach a child education when they're hungry, when they're homeless, when they can't see, when they have health issues. Education is secondary to their immediate issues. They need caseworkers and guidance counselors, and they need smaller classrooms, and they need two teachers in every classroom, and they need arts and culture, and they need to be taught individually. But that's not an option. The only option is phase out. So, Mr. Mayor, if this is an attempt to privatize education under the guise of reform, then just tell us.
Be honest.
Just be honest. If this is about money and friends in high places, then just tell us.
Keep it real.
Because the reality is that the mayoral control has been a failure. It needs to be revisited. I can't wait. We need to tie him up as much as we can for the next 18 months and counting.
Right.
And we really need to elect a mayor of the city of New York. This should be a campaign issue. And I hope Communities for Change and all elected officials that are here today, that this is our #1 campaign priority as we go forward to elect another mayor in the city of New York who understands and appreciates the importance of education.
That bill will go through. She got skills like that.
She does.
I just want to thank my colleagues and thank the groups that are here, the people here who really are here to celebrate the children in this city. We have just had hearings in Albany talking about where the State Commissioner of Education has informed us that even though we have higher graduation rates, that these young people who are graduating are not, in fact, prepared for college. So we have a very low college-ready rate of graduates coming out of this system. We must, and we now have a system that is running not based on the interest of children and their schools and their families, but based on rushing to privatize the system and rushing to operate around money issues and other things that are not related to educating our children. So we're here to say we must make changes. That's what we want to do, and we got to do it right now. Thanks to the coalition. Thanks to the members of this wonderful group of people who have remained steadfast and committed to the best interest of our children.